This is Weird Renegade Witches blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done. Of course, go to the Weird Renegade website, see some of the stuff that's on there. Still haven't finished updating anything, been really busy. But as you already know, Wayward is about that revenge, redemption, responsibility, that spell work. Because as I say, art is occultism, occultism is an art. As you guys already know, I do the monthly lessons. That has already started, which is separate from the one-on-one lessons that I do personally with individuals. Work, of course, is separate from that, but at times we will incorporate that energy if need be. Um, I just kind of want to get right to it because there's some frequencies that maybe we should talk about. You know, the bewitchery, the witchcraft, and I have some fucking questions, and maybe you guys can answer it for me. You know, I'm just an occultist. I'm just trying to figure out shit. And this past weekend, Father's Day, of course, uprooted itself. And how can we act like that shit didn't even exist? And how was Father's Day even created? I have fucking questions. How bad is it when you don't acknowledge the fathers out here and the frequencies because such negativity has is attached to that frequency? But of course, I always talk about, and I know it's rude, but what it is, what it ain't, what it is. And I said, once the mother is gone, the house falls. I said, literally, the father can leave the house and the house will still stand. So take it the way you want to take it. Anyway, we have Juneteenth coming, and I have some fucking questions about this Juneteenth. See, now I gotta put my foot in my motherfucking mouth because you know I'm nosy and I research and I look, and you know I'm a water energy and I can turn at any time. So I have some fucking questions because you know what's been rolling around social media about this other frequency that generated or came out around 1827 called Pinksters, which was incorporated and brought in by the Dutch in New York, but very, very, very similar to the energies to Juneteenth. Now, out the blue, Juneteenth became a moneymaker. So that's a little suspicious. I have fucking questions. And as black people, should we really be fucking around with Juneteenth if we really don't understand and have the clarity? Now, all my life, I know that we've celebrated Juneteenth without white people being involved. But like I told you, I start seeing uh in the millennium, maybe around 2013 and shit like that, where all of a sudden you start seeing Jewish people involved in putting Juneteenth festivals and stuff together. So I just have fucking questions. And now you have Asians and everybody else basically promoting, marketing it, and creating merchandise behind it and all. And as we already know, the connection and the energies of what Juneteenth is supposed to be. But my question is, were those really African people? Because you guys are all in confusion here because you guys don't understand that the Indians, if you want to call them, or indigenous or aborigines that were originally in America, got all shipped out of got all shipped out of America. Then who in the hell were those people in Texas? Were those the indigenous people? I mean, I have questions. I don't believe those were Africans. And then what the hell is an African? Because you know what I say. I say Africa is nothing but a legal plantation at this point because there's so much confusion of history and what's going on. Because when you go back to the studies of the 1600s and you go back to the studies of the 1700s, there's some fucking questions. See, we always look at the 1800s, which of course is your 19th century, but we don't investigate some of the writings that uprooted itself from the late 1600s into the 1700s that talk about the world and talk about our melanated copper, aborigine, black, whatever you want to call yourself, stardust, red dirt, galactic, I don't give a fuck. the bottom line is that how come we are not investigating that they then some energy came in and overrid and took over and drugged and stole and murdered the frequencies and then hid certain histories. So maybe we should like understand what the fuck is going on, because these white folks will sit up and create shit and then tell us celebrate it. It's on the same lines as orchestrated religions, where they tell us practice it, this is what it is. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of out the door right now with Juneteenth, and I'm going to put it on the shelf until further notice. I'm not fucking around because I don't know what's going on. It's kind of like this. I was reading something. This was actually on social media, but I found it very interesting. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find it. Hopefully. Because I was reading it. Let me see. Damn. Because I found it very interesting. Jeez. Okay, here we go. Andrew Jackson, the seventh president, implemented the Indians, as we call Aborigines, Indigenous, the original Indigenous people of America, Removal Act, which led to the forced relocations of thousands of Indigenous, Indians, Native Americans, Aborigine people in what is now known as the Trail of Tears. Thousands died during these forced marches. So doesn't this energy that has uprooted itself match the stories of the supposed Africans who came from Africa and jumped and fell in the water? This matches the ones being shipped, because they've always talked about this. Because I heard there's something in Philadelphia, some kind of placard that explains this, and now it's uprooting itself. Now it's uprooting itself. So those of you talking about you gonna fight for somebody's reparations, you better fight for your land and your 40 acres and a fucking mule that's here, that is fucking yours. We the people. This is a cold game and a cold piece of spell work. You guys up there tripping on that they denied the Oklahoma people their money. No, they denied the black indigenous people, the original people of and descendants of Oklahoma, because that taps back into native stuff. That taps back into tribal energy. That taps back into the United States owe us millions, billions, and trillions of dollars in land. In addition to what I was talking about, technically, couldn't we sue the United States and the world for genocide and displacing us and then replacing us, our ancestors? That's why we have to be careful of those DNA tests. It would tell you you're from here, you're from there, you're from here, you're from there, and all along you from right here in America, or more or less you from different parts. Maybe you're people from different parts of Europe, or who knows, because they came in and murdered everybody and replaced them and displaced them and moved them around. So that's why I'm saying, to further notice, I'm going to have to put Juneteenth on the shelf. And then also look into this Pinkster celebration that's again very similar, because the energies of Juneteenth came around 1865. It's like, as black people, we don't want to understand shit, right? Okay. I just want to have that little bit of energy, that little bit of bewitchery and spell work. Okay? We got motherfucking Pride going on this month. So let's give some fucking shout outs to Pride, right? I need to understand, what the fuck is an LGBTQIA? Wait a minute. Let me understand something, because hopefully I could find it, because I have questions. Um, I have questions. Like what the fuck? Okay, hold on. Because I just have questions. Okay, so they didn't added more shit? What? This will fuck up someone's short-term memory. So let me understand something. So we have LGBTQIA, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual? And we not supposed to say this is a psychosis? Are we literally supposed to understand what this is? How in the hell, as American people, with the First Amendment right to speak and to think and to have understanding and to be under the Constitution, in addition to we the people, and being under the Pledge of Allegiance, how did we condone this behavior? How did we let motherfuckers sit up and dictate and tell us what to say and what not to say, and then talking about is a hate speech? How did this happen? Because if I'm under the federal Constitution and I have basically did the spell work through childhood on up, stating the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're under the energies of we the people, how in the fuck did we tolerate this bullshit and this mental disorder? So we're gonna stop playing with this bullshit right here. How come not keep it simple? You just gay as fuck and keep it moving. You want to be bisexual, cool, whatever. And me personally, I believe transgenders are separate from gay people. And I don't believe they should be pulled up in that energy, because there's a whole bunch of gay people who disagree with that lifestyle, that subculture. That's a subculture. That's a lifestyle. That's a different frequency. They actually should have their own parade. So let's continue. Since we're in Pride Month, let's talk about some energies. I give shout out to Marlon Wayans doing too motherfucking much, trying to say because he has a trans child, that's why he was representing the whole gay energy with his ass looking like a fucking unicorn. And he needed to just keep it real, keep it right. It sounds like to me that you just coming on out with your own frequencies. I told y'all I'll be out here trying to take up for Marlon Wayans and his shenanigans. And so people sending me pictures and shit. And I said, oh Lord, he didn't came on out. He just need to go on and stop this bullshit and stop talking about he's, supporting his kid. Because you can support your kid without doing too much, right? You can support your gay kid, whatever you want to call your kid, or trans kid or whatever, without getting on social media. Because if you're getting on social media doing all that, that means that you're that you just want to be famous and you really don't got money all like that. That's what I'm learning. There's a difference. When we look at these entertainers, most of the time they ain't got money all like that. and they want to do too much. And then after I seen the way he got that massage on the lower part of his disc and shit like that, and the pressure and where that was and where it's close to his navel and the connection and all that shit, I said, okay, he on some other shit. So we need to stop playing with Marlon Wayans and his shenanigans, right? And then we got Billy Porter. He out here cutting the fuck up with fucking leatherback gear and looking like Aunt Jemima. Did you see his ass up there dancing and shit? I said they just got him on some fucking bullshit. And I really like Billy Porter. He's really a talented individual. But since Hollywood threw his ass out, took his man and house away, and then threw him back into the dungeon of hell, his ass then went full throttle gay as fuck underground and shit. Okay, so I don't know if he's representing the gay community, but he's very interesting in his frequency. Then he had on this other energy with his his dick balls was right there to the side, because again I'm a dick connoisseur, and I was looking, I was just like, okay, what's going on here? And I was like, it's all right, but it's not all. He's more balls than anything else. Just from what I see, it's none of my business, but damn, it was right there. So of course I'm gonna look. So then he had on this yellow shit. I said, is he a bumblebee or is he the son of Oshun or something? I don't know. Because, they have them all bounded up in that fake ass Orisha shit. So he's out here cutting the fuck up because, he need money and shit. So now they have him under some frequencies. Shout out to that damn Shiloh Pitt. I'm about tired of her and her throwing spell work at us with that fake ass dancing she's doing. She's horrible as fuck. But I'm gonna, kind of put that on the shelf and understand that she's throwing spell work at us. And I think it's Wiccan dancing. Cause I'm about tired of her, or him. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Shiloh Pitt, but all right. Wayne Brady, he needs to shut the fuck up. He's too grown for the games that he's playing, talking about he non-binary. He couldn't even explain why he was fucking non-binary. Why couldn't you just say you're gay or you just like you're bisexual, you like men and women? He was up there talking about he had to read the definition, talk about it's free love for everybody. Oh, okay, so you under the frequency of bohemian and hippie effect, because bohemian hippie effect also draws in the homosexuality effect that we didn't connect, right? So anyway, so I was like, what the fuck is Wayne Brady talking about? He just on some fucking bullshit. Then I started thinking, well, goddamn, maybe I should say I'm non-binary because there's some finance and money in that shit. Damn, you may want to say your kids is non-binary and all that shit and get the fucking resources that they fucking need. They didn't sat up and took affirmative action from black folks. Like I said, I believe that should be restructured because that was a whole game plan because everybody else benefited from it, from the Indians, Asians, Mexicans, whoever, women, gay men, gay women, whatever. So anyway, because everybody else got the resources except for the right people. So let's get that fucking right. So anyway, I said, is there a money grab in fucking saying you're fucking non-binary or what's up? Because I'm not going to knock it. Because I said, well, maybe he getting some money. Because he was all in confusion. But in a minute, they're going to say that's a mental disorder. In the next 15 to 20 years, if that, maybe 10, they're going to lock all that shit down. And they're going to say, that needs to go into the asylum. And they're going to rewrite the book on all of this shit. You're going to wait and see. You're going to see. And niggas going to be locked the fuck up. Shout out to the soft guy era. You niggas out there all in your pants and all in your panties about women asking you for money, asking you for shit, and you call yourself mimicking them and their behavior. Shouts out to you bitch ass niggas. Mark Jacobs making fun of black women and Latina women and our nails, and he's on social media clunking nails, doing the most. You buy Mark Jacobs shit, you buy his perfume, his fashions and so on, but he's too busy up there trying to appropriate your culture, black women and Latina women, and trying to make fun because we wear nails and all this shit. So that tells me that his ass is going to come out with something. He probably going to come out with a nail brand that already have shit together and probably probably gonna pay somebody to bling up some nails, and then you niggas gonna buy that shit. But then you got sisters and Latinas out here who's already doing fucking nails, and let's not forget the Vietnamese, but already doing their nails, doing their bling and everything else, because these designers ain't got shit else to do. So they're gonna look at your shit. So the next thing they understand is that black women and Latina women get they fucking nails done, and they get long nails done, and they like their nails fucking blinged up. So I'm peeping him as a fashion designer. Where is he going with this? Okay, because he needs to pull some inspiration from somewhere. So he's with his witchcraft and bewitchery, and all he's doing is soul sucking the black women and Latina women who get our shit, our lashes, our nails done, and more. This is going to be the trend and the end thing, right? Shout out to the ballroom scene with your, as you guys call it, your house mothers and your house fathers, because you guys done uprooted all over the fucking place, even in the fashion scene, that you got black women out here dressing like dudes. Okay, so we're gonna stop fucking playing, and you out here looking more prettier than the average woman. Okay, because we're gonna give a shout out to Law motherfucking Roach with his fucking spell work. Because how in the fuck you a stylist, but you out doing Zendaya? And I'm gonna keep it right. This is just my taste, but I noticed that men really love the way he dressed women. However, or dressed Zendaya, but I noticed women be like, so that goes to show the masculinity within his style of dress and fashions. But people will say, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, because you know he's famous and he's out there and he's somebody. No, that's not true. It doesn't mean because you're front and center that you know what the fuck you're doing. You're just popular. You're just a person that the media puts forth in front. So you gotta see, you guys got shit fucked up. I had to learn a lot of lessons, and I learned a lot of lessons that motherfuckers who are behind the scenes are the motherfuckers who got the money, the bank, the talent, and more. So the bottom line is that it doesn't mean that you're so front and center that you're that shit. And I'm looking, and I'm just talking from a person who went to fashion school, understand fashion, understand styling, even forms of textiling and more, visual merchandising, all of that shit. I can look at the way he styled that shit is raggedy as fuck, and he pulls a lot from what we call the grunge energy and layering stuff. And then he's pulling a lot from the 90s, especially some like Gaultier and all of that shit. So it's just recycled energy. But I give it to him. He's doing I'm assuming that he's like in under the ballroom and all that frequency. He's always on that drag queen show doing his thing. I give him a fucking shout out, and I give it to him, and I understand that he's a fucking Cancer, so he's doing his goddamn thing under the fucking ballroom effect. And we better watch out for that ballroom effect, because it has really taken over the industry, and it has really created a masculine frequency, but it's like a facade because you think it's feminine, but it's really masculine. When I seen Naomi Campbell and Tiana Taylor looking like whole dudes, and they were posing with Law Roach, and I think this other person, I'm not sure, and I said, damn, he looking, the person in the middle, he looking way better. So then, of course, I think I talked about it. So then, of course, I had to go to my gay constituents, and I showed it to him, and he had to clown me. I'm gonna call it gay Hollywood style, like, bitch. And I was like, oh. And then he had to break it down to me what it is, what it ain't. Okay. And he was like, oh, they're from the ballroom. This is what's going. I was like, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. For that spell work. And a lot of them ballroom motherfuckers be up there practicing that Wicca shit too. And also some of them be practicing, of course, I call it the satanic energy of what the world says, what is Satan, what is visual. Okay, so, but shout out to them. It's Pride Month, right? Okay. I like to give a shout out to Darius, was it McCurry? Because, nigga, was Super Hare right? And what's going on with Sydney Star? Is this a front? You never know. It's a Taurus. But nigga, I'd like to give a shout out to the separate crew of drag queens and trans. How you guys done sat up and played games with us, and how black, especially black women, how we transformed our asses to look like you, and we accepted that you called us cis. We accepted that you said that we are transphobic. We accepted all of this shit. We done sat up and got plastic surgery, got our hips done, our tits done, our cheeks done, everything to look just like you. That's a cold game, and that's a cold spell, and that's a cold bewitchery. Now as black women, we out here looking fucked up as we're looking fucked up as fuck. We didn't even realize that we didn't transformed ourselves to look like a whole fake man. We didn't realize that we didn't took makeup tips from drag queens to look like a woman, and we look like a woman. Now, how in the hell do we do makeup like a man who want to look like a woman, but we the woman? That doesn't make sense. Okay? And even more, why would we go and create fake hips, fake ass, fake tits, fake everything, and then resculpture our body, not understanding that that is something that trans men do? Okay? Can we stop fucking playing? I mean, it goes back to this energy that I seen. Let me see if I can find. And they call them castrados, you know how I pronounce shit. And basically castrated men. And they were talking about that those are the soprano voices. And usually they cut off their dick balls and shit around 6 and 10 years old. And they were talking about the hormonal imbalance of this frequency. So then it made me go back and think about these trans men who basically, and the women who turn themselves into men who go and cut off their various body parts. Like you have some of those women who turn themselves into men cut off their breasts, but knowing there's energy within the breast, but it fucks up their hormones. Then you got men who up there that will cut off their dick balls and all of that. But here's the thing. So they were talking about men who do that, and I was like listening to what it was saying, and it said it causes them to kind of fatten up. They said their breast, their chest fattens up, their thighs fatten up, their hips fatten up, and they said their neck fatten up. Could that be the reason why that we don't see, as they call, the Adam's apple anymore? And then they said they tend to be taller and fragile. So I said, oh, that's very interesting. But they said they suffer from depression and then have chronic fatigue. So if you are, and if you have an hormonal, oh, and they call it hyper androgenism. So is that what this really is? Is this not really trans? Is really hyperandrogenism? Because they castrated? So how did we look at this as reconstructive surgery when it's really castration? And question, and I seen this and I said, this is a good question. If you turn yourself into, if your belief, you turn yourself, this is only for pride, because I have questions, not to be rude, but I'm wayward, but don't you still have your prostate? Do you still got to get your prostate checked? What happens with that? Is it because I understand that the prostate is underneath the dick balls right there, but do they really cut that off, or is it still there in some place? I don't know. Do you still got to get checked once you get your surgery? Because you still have energies. If you a woman who turn yourself into a whole dude that you believe, do you still get your vagina checked? Pap smears? Do you still get your breast checked? Oh, and shout out to the ballroom also for creating double leaks and duplicates of entertainers, you know, like Janet Jackson, and you know the shit they said about Tiana Taylor, that they think that she's really a dude allegedly, because everything is allegedly. And you know, and that Lipstick Alley, from what I heard and what I was told, saying that Tiana Taylor most likely is an escort. So I just have questions. I have questions to all these double leaks and all of these people that we think are feminine or think that they're really these people allegedly. None of my business, but what it is, what it ain't. You know how people talk. Shout out to the ballroom. Shout out to the first gay movement, the civil rights movement that created the first DL motherfuckers. Shout out to the new, but been around, ass yeast infection. Shout out to the new sexually transmitted infection that starts in the spinal cord. Shout out to Cam Newton. He's an interesting motherfucker, isn't he? He have boys out here thinking they should wear ankle bracelets. Shout out. We still don't know what was going on between him and Justin Bieber. How come we're just not acknowledging that he was just a pass around and sold? You guys want to say traffic, but he was sold. Okay. Shout out to Neo Soul that created the metrosexual motherfuckers. The tea drinking vegan motherfuckers. Your flamboyant, frisky motherfuckers. Your very fragrant motherfuckers. Shouts out to hip hop and rap that gave us gangster gay boys that all through their music we didn't realize they were saying to suck dicks. Thank ya. They were saying to whoop women asses as they were sucking dicks and shit and talking more and on the low, getting with the get down. Thank you, hip hop and rap. Beyonce and Sanaa Lathan. No wonder she bit your face, Beyonce. Allegedly. Conscious community. Thank you for pushing trans and homosexual behavior. When you sat up and supported Nature Boy up there representing that trans man and saying this is the new king or queen or whatever in town. I didn't hear what it is, but you know what I'm talking about. When he went and said, fuck you biological women with your fucking vaginas and your fishy asses in his head, I'm gonna fuck with this booty hole that has feces and shit. That's what the fuck I'm gonna fuck with. Okay, matter of fact, this is what trumps the woman. Thank you, conscious community, for not putting that in line, not saying nothing, and condoning the behaviors because you're part of it. Thank you to Queen Afua. You know what they saying about her allegedly with all the lesbian shit popping off. Thank you, Queen of Fool, being part of the conscious energy. But nobody don't want to talk about that because you niggas are scared as fuck to really talk about how the conscious community fucked over the black community. And we should have been speaking out and saying some fucked up shit about Nature Boy and Queen of Fool with this shenanigans that they talk about. But you guys want to be part of the divine feminine and get under that energy because you thought it was something, somehow, some way, and didn't understand that it was brought in and there was some frequencies behind it to fuck up the black community even more. Thank you, allegedly. Thank you to the and don't worry, in a minute I'm going to have hella people, talking shit to me and then saying shit in my comments because every time I mention Queen of Fool, always some shit pops off, but I don't give a fuck. So then you have the neo movie soul movement, where you have lesbianism, threesome, poly energy, DL movies. Thank you, Tubi, for creating the neo movie soul that has uprooted itself in the universal soul. Thank you, you black alternatives, with this new movement that you have going. Thank you, passport bros. They give you the illusion that they're out there looking for a good woman, but they're really going to look for lady boys, allegedly. And nothing wrong with the lady boys. At least they admit that they're lady boys. Shout out to the Gen Zs. Shout out to you for fucking up a whole energy. You fucked up pride. It's boring as fuck. You fucked up the taboo of it. You're sensitive to shit. You can't say punk. You can't say fag hag. You can't say faggot. It's a fucking problem. But in reality, there's really nothing wrong with saying it because people have the right under free speech to say what the fuck they want to say. So how is that derogatory if within the gay community they say it? I had a spiritual constituent that was trying to get a top that said fag hag, and she was trying to get it done through Amazon. Amazon said it wouldn't print out the top. It was too derogatory. So I asked the gay guy. I said, hey, is fag hag derogatory? He was like, what the fuck you talking about? I said, oh. So how is it in this world over here, the Gen Z world, to cancel a person and to restructure? But it's really not the Gen Zs. It's just the structure of the government that uses the Gen Zs. That's why y'all gonna get drafted in the military, because you did all that talking. Now they out here trying to draft motherfuckers. But I'm going to get to that in a minute with that spell work. But you guys were part of this revolution frequency. Didn't know that you were being used. And you was talking all this sensitivity shit. I was cracking myself up. I was looking at fucking Red Fox. What is it called? What's that show? I was looking at something. I was looking at the Red Fox show. What's it called? Shit. And I was listening to one of his scenes, and he was sitting at the table. Yeah, Stanford, was this called Sanford and Sons? And he was, I guess, John Sanford. Okay. It was a scene where I guess this black guy was was sitting at the table, and he was acting weird. And Fred Sanford looked at him and basically said, nigga, you weird. And I was like, what? Then it was another scene where was still Stanford and Sons, but another episode where he said, this nigga here. And then it made me think about George Jefferson. Even on Good Times. I said, and the funny thing will be, and then laugh. But now you can't say shit. I don't have time for you. I have the right to say gay little midget without it being a fucking problem. What the fuck is this? And this even goes for later millennials. Y'all ain't fighting for shit. You looking real crazy. Y'all didn't open up the door. You let them use you. Pride, studs. I'm hearing that you running around here with fucking strap-ons outside of your goddamn pants. What is that about? You scaring the femme girls. That ain't cute. But that goes to show the psychosis. Studs and lesbians. So it's a trend to now pay gay boys, and now gay boys are looking for studs and supposed lesbian women to pay them. Now they don't allegedly want men to pay them, but now they are going for women to pay them. Well, shit, that's a whole fucking market. Just saying. Shout out to now you have Hindu people that want to sit out and say that now Hinduism and yoga is basically the devil and demonic. Well, thank you for saying that, because your asses and your culture brought them fake goddesses in, telling people that those were women and those are all fucking men. And you know, those are all fucking men. And so you got crazy black people out here. Don't take offense to y'all, because I know y'all ignorant as fuck and didn't know. Out here doing yoga and all that shit, opening up feminine masculine energy, but they have a belief that those are women. And then there's people come say, you don't know what you're talking about. You better go back and look at those statues. You better go back and look at the truth of what the fuck is going on. Y'all never notice that the men dress up as women to immolate those statues? You guys never seen the possession of all of some of them statues, and a lot of them women, the women end up looking like dudes, and the entity sucks the life out the woman. But when a man dresses up and immolates and get in what we call possession and be a host to those statues, their souls are not sucked out. Those souls suck out the power from the woman, not from the man. Louisiana, let me give you a shout out, especially Baton Rouge. Y'all have a new sex club there. I think it's called the Warehouse, bitch. They're trying to revert Louisiana back to the original sexual vampire frequency, huh? So they went and got rid of Pornhub. So you niggas can't tape the sex acts that's going to be going on from Texas to fucking Louisiana, and they're going to open up more sex clubs. So you niggas can't make your money. So now they want to hide. I told you they was going to smut out. That you have black people complaining in fucking Texas that Texas has become the new Atlanta. So you have this new uprising epidemic of gay boys moving to Texas. There was a whole club with nothing but men looking real frisky. Shout out. I heard this energy before as it kind of reminded me of, and I know y'all, it kind of reminded me of Anne Rice, the vampire writer. Just look up Anne Rice, the vampire writer. She's I guess allegedly she's from Louisiana. I've met Anne Rice. I've been in her house because I used to work somewhere that we was up in her house, and her mirrors were all covered, so she was living the act. And then I remember meeting Anne Rice again, and I had to ask her, I said, do you know there's a whole bunch of vampires that want to kill you? And how I know this, because when I was going to City College, I knew this guy, he believed he was a vampire. So we were talking about, so he was in that life. So we were talking about Anne Rice. And so he said, oh no, we're trying to kill Anne Rice because she revealed the secrets of the vampire world. So anyway, the bottom line is that they're not telling you that the whole vampire frequency and as they call mulatto energy is also, I'm just talking about Louisiana, is really connected to black people. That whole vampire frequency, as they call it, goth and all that, and they, the UK and no. It was black people. That's why you had like Spike Lee make that movie called, what is it called, Sweet Blood of Jesus. But before that was the black exploitation. That's what they want to call it. I think it was called Ganja Hess. It is immolating the frequencies of vampire frequency, but also sexuality and also homosexuality within the vampire world. Because what I was told is that a lot of that goes on, but especially in Louisiana, there was a lot of vampire energy. And some of that was brought in, of course, by the French. And then you even had the Haitians, you had all of these frequencies. So automatically, you guys just think Africa. No, it was in the United States, especially Louisiana was an energy for it, you know. And that's where this Anne Rice got a lot of her frequencies from there. But what was very interesting is, I said, was Anne Rice a man? Because apparently, because I wanted to look at the Wikipedia of when she died, and it said that he name is Howard. I said, what? But when I met her, she looked like a woman to me. But basically, she had to get out of that life of vampirism because she was too scared because that shit was coming at her or him. So it's a very interesting frequency as we talk about Louisiana and how it's creating, um, certain energies. And shout out to the motherfucking military, especially the Navy, because you know how you guys get down. So much so. And we're gonna give shout out to Saudi Arabia and their gay asses, and Somalia with their gay selves. And we don't want to talk about how you guys keep bringing up Bill Gates, but we're not going to talk about how America facilitated the gene energy by giving them soy, especially in Somalia and Ethiopia. Okay, because these guys out here, especially Somalia and them Saudi Arabians, be up there talking about that, they're Islam and all that, but they like little boys and they like, lady boys and shit, especially as some of their little get-togethers among all those men. They don't want to talk about that, right? And they don't want to talk about how the American military also been bringing over a lot of their philosophies in reference to homosexuality, especially sexually assaulting children, especially little boys. Yeah, they don't want to talk about that part, right? Yeah, so you guys need to get the fuck up off that shit. Okay. Then shout out in history the first lesbian club in the early, well, around 1920s. And apparently in New York City there's a restaurant, I think it's called La Net Lanteria. Okay. However, that used to be a club. And it used to be a club that was created. It was the first lesbian club in the United States. And it was created by this woman who's Polish. She was a Polish Jew, an American name. Her name is Eve Adams. However, it was around the time that she created this, and it was a place where kind of, I call it beatnik artists, poetry. Doesn't that sound very similar to the Harlem Renaissance? Because in that same time, the Harlem Renaissance uprooted itself, and that was a whole gay community. We're not gonna even play with the lesbian and gay boys that was all up in the Harlem Renaissance. So that shit goes hand in hand. So this Eva person who's Polish, she had the same frequency, I guess, on one part of New York, and then you had this other energy over here in Harlem. So it was going hand in hand. It was a whole frequency. It was already put forth to have these type of creations. So Eve Adams, who came from Poland, she opened the first lesbian bar in New York. But then they said, bitch, you crazy as fuck, we're gonna have to deport you and then find you guilty for basically for disorderly conduct. And I think of some other charges. However, they said that they deported her. Then she ended up moving to France. Then allegedly, she ended up being sacrificed in the Holocaust. And I said, but she was in France. What the fuck are we not understanding about this Holocaust shit, right? But it's very interesting. She's a gay woman, and she ended up. They said her whole family allegedly was murdered and sacrificed in the Holocaust. So that's very interesting. But they were talking about that a lot of the writings that allegedly Hitler was, the allegations that he wrote about the Jews, they saying those are fake now. Just like they're saying that the real Columbus was black and he had I think it was Salvador something. And I said that's not far-fetched. Right? Just a shout out. What the fuck is going on with these Jewish people? How come they're always being invited to the White House? How come TikTok sent them to some country to to represent their ancestors? What the hell is going on here? Why is it that here in America, in Chicago, the Mexican election, how come they were able to vote in Chicago if the Mexicans are basically citizens in the United States? Then how in the fuck are they voting in Mexico for the next president? And what the fuck is going on in Mexico that they allege that 37 people or 37 candidates for the presidentship were all murdered except for this Jewish woman? And I said, she doesn't look Latina. How is she going to become the president or something? I don't know, what the politician. What the fuck is going on in Mexico? And what the fuck is going on with these Jews? That's so much so that they want to alter the Bible now. They want to change. They want to make everything a hate crime with them. But you can't really make it a hate crime, because we're under a certain government and energy. So they for real trying to push this corporate energy instead of government. Because if they push the corporate energy, then that's how they can come in with these asinine laws. But it doesn't mean we have to agree. Okay? Furthermore, Black people, be fucking warned. They're trying to play you. Be careful of these remote jobs, because Black people are getting, I'm just saying, not saying all, but Black people getting caught the fuck up with these fake ass checks. There's a lot of shit going on with these remote scams. And then they'll send you a check and then turn around, you get arrested behind it. Some people don't know. Some people are out there talk about, no, that's them scamming. No, it is happening more and more often, especially with these remote jobs. I hate to say this. It might be good for y'all to go back to work instead of doing some of these remote jobs, because they will send you a whole bunch of information to make it appear copacetic. And more, they out here writing these checks and they giving it to you. And these law enforcement is not hearing shit. And they taking your Black ass to jail. Okay? So be careful of these remote. Just like be careful of applying for houses, loans, all that. There's so much scamming going on out here that they are here really trying to take your information. Another thing is this, as we talk about pride, let me go back to pride. I want to go back to Puff Daddy for a moment. I need to understand, why in the fuck are we not connecting that since you guys want to talk trafficked, how come we never understood that his mother sold him to the highest bidder? Why did we not understand that? Why did we not understand that he was sold as a kid? He was sold as a kid. And another thing is, why are we so riding with Cassie? And did you know that Puff Daddy is suing that vodka alcohol? What was it? Crocs? Is that the name of the drink? Did y'all know he was suing them? Some people believe that's why the information came out. And what is this shit rolling around social media that his son has been arrested and in jail? The one that looked like him. But it's not far-fetched. We haven't seen him a lot. Do you remember that whole shit when they allegedly busted his house and they had him handcuffed? That's called cyber magic. That's bewitchery. But how come we just never connected that as we talk about Pride Month? And that other story that's allegedly that they're saying that he and Casey was trying to make Kim Porter suck the blood out the tampon. That's spell work. I know a lot of white people who do that type of work. getting tampons and sucking the blood out of it. But I'm not gonna recommend it, but I'm saying that's a form of spell work. How come we never ask questions about that? Another shout out is to Jamal Bryant in the month of Pride with that alleged woman that looked like she's from the ranch that he's marrying. I told you under Pride, so I'll let you figure that out. Shout out to TD Jake's ass and what's his name? Keon, is it Henderson? With his crying, preaching ass. He's a fake preacher. What the fuck you over here crying with your boyfriend? Are we supposed to feel sorry for him? Are we supposed to be like, oh, black men, they suffer from depression? Fuck that shit. Get you some fucking dick balls. That's why you got fucking dick balls. Why are you out here crying like a bitch? And you a pastor. And you got TD Jakes caressing you. The fucks? Aren't y'all tired of Black China fake ass? This is what our kids look like. This is, you know, when we was talking about Cassie, I have a question. Is Cassie related to Princess Love and Her and Sweetie? Because they all have Filipinos. Because Her is supposed to be from Vallejo, but Sweetie is from the South Bay. But Princess Love is also from the Bay. And Prince, I guess, is that Princess Love, the one that's married to Ray J? Are they all related? And then you're like, well, how'd you bring in Cassie? Cassie over here in Connecticut. It doesn't matter. But I find it interesting. I see you guys up there jocking Rihanna and her Fenty. What, y'all gonna start wearing your natural hairs? Because you think she was actually using her products for her hair? That was her marketing concept is amazing, isn't it? But you know what bewilders me? How in the fuck do you guys now emulate styles from the 90s using fake hair? We had our real hair and we may added pieces, but a lot of those styles were our hair. From the shortcuts, you got, even from the 80s, you got them restructuring Jerry curls that they using fake hair for Jerry curls. Jerry, isn't that, it wasn't that the whole energy of having a Jerry curl to grow your hair out and you get oh, I forgot they don't have them products anymore. How do you do a bun? I mean, I know there's some energies, but usually that was the girl's hair. How do you do a shortcut and it's fake hair? How you do bobs and it's fake hair? I'm just asking those questions. I remember it was this studio in San Francisco. I don't know if it's still there or not. It was called Dorays. And everybody knew if you went to Dorays, you was going to look really good. But you had to tell guys if they seen your pictures from Dorays that I don't look like that really, because Doray will do you up. And I remember I had a shortcut and she added a piece that came, it like covered my eye. This was for my graduation pictures. And I graduated out of high school. And that was my first time having a fake piece. And she clipped it in. But it really looked cute. But it was my hair with that. But just having full-fledged fake hair, it's really interesting for the 90s hairstyles. Hopefully girls go back and grow their hair out. Right? But maybe because you got Asians coming in with black products, maybe that's why they want you to grow your hair out. Because they want you to make them rich again, right? Just like Marc Jacobs and them nails. We just talking, right? Did y'all see this shit that's been rolling around social media talking about Michael Jackson didn't like Dr. Sabi? That's a lie. He was rude. That's a lie. And did you see this new product, these eye drops or some kind of honey drops or whatever? And it's supposed, and allegedly Dr. Sabi produced it. So, but here's the thing, it's backed by white folks. So then it made me think, was it always white people that backed Dr. Sabi and we just didn't know? Remember the conscious community, because out the blue, you have this new energy and this new energy of white people that's interested in Dr. Sabi. And they are really pushing his products. They're representing his products. They're now redoing and restructuring his products. And now you're hearing on YouTube, TikTok, even on Instagram of them, white folks talking about Dr. Sabi. And I said, this is some weird shit when back in the day, they hated Dr. Sabi and debunked. So that makes me believe Dr. Sabi was never real. He was always a government frequency. He was never like this person. He was just created. Okay? Because it's all of a sudden you got white people now pushing his products and reinventing and recreating the products. How come we never clowned the fuck out of Amber Rose? She brought the slut walk. What the fuck was that? We just never ask any questions, do we? And talking about Amber Rose, remember that intervention she was on? What happened to her friend's daughter that she brought to Los Angeles? Whatever happened with her? Remember that intervention with City High on there? Not City High, but one of the singers from City High, that he was mad because the girl he was dating in City High started dating the other guy, and didn't she have a baby by him? And he was an alcoholic. What happened with him? We're just asking questions, right? Of some things going on in this universe. They were talking about Jennifer Lopez and how she bowed out of her Vegas residency. Talking about Vegas residency, do you know that Fat Joe, Ja Rule, Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick, and I would have said that Pastor Mike shit, do you know they have a fucking residency in Vegas? For what? Matter of fact, oh, and Ghostface Killer and Raekwon. What? Right? A white guy was talking about popularity versus hits. And he said the reason why Jennifer Lopez allegedly canceled her residency in Vegas is because she really doesn't have any hits. I said, what type of psychological fucking bewitchery witchcraft did they play on us with this cyber magic? So what he said was, people like Billie Eilish, Lana Del Rey, you guys seen on social media, and Taylor Swift and them, he just gave those as examples. He said they can't do a residency in Vegas because they're popular, but they don't have any hits. It's just that people made them popular. He said, if you ask someone right now, what song of Taylor Swift do you know? He said, most likely they don't know shit. He said, nobody knows anything about Jennifer Lopez songs. He said, so therefore she can't do a residency because she doesn't have any hits. She's just popular. I said, oh, so she's just famous. And she was created through the energies of the media. She's really, in reality, she's really not even an entertainer. So I had to think, well, then what is considered a hit? Oh, Tevin Campbell. Everybody sings that song. So technically Tevin Campbell can do a residency. Because everybody was sitting in that fucking audience. And I was telling one of my spiritual constituents, I was telling her about it. I said, that means Freddie Jackson If he was well, he can do a residency with that song that was up in people's weddings and everybody singing it and white folks and all. I said, so technically, for real, Michael Jackson was an entertainer, celebrity, famous. He was a superstar, that entity, right? So you telling me Aretha Franklin that now they trying to say she can't sing? She could never sing? But are you telling me technically she was a superstar? But are you telling me Patti LaBelle is just famous? That made me think about I have to retrain my ears because they took away acting. We as Negroes, we're looking at Tubi. None of them niggas can act. They not talented. Those are ranch motherfuckers. We out here listening to Detroit niggas act that can't act. But our ears have basically conformed to bullshit. That's a cold game. That's a cold spell. That's a cold curse. Talking about a cold game, a cold curse, a cold spell. You know that Gabby who didn't have them twins? Guess what I found out? See, I didn't know this, so excuse me if I'm ignorant. And I'm Johnny come lately. I had no understanding that in Jordan and Dubai create twins and they do gene splicing. And Jordan is the number one place. The second place is Dubai, where you could get some twins and they do all of these energies so your ass can get pregnant with twins. I said, that is manipulation of nature. So when we see these famous people have twins, it is because most likely they didn't probably went out of country to get pregnant. Some of them doctors are here. Just like they not telling you that them veneers in the future gonna cause brain damage because you're fucking up your teeth and it's gonna cause you to have psychological order, a psychological order and psychosis. See, they're not gonna tell you that. You know they didn't created some kind of electric tooth that they somehow you could regrow your tooth that scientists then created. But let's talk about them veneers, them horse teeth that you guys go out of country to get in the future. Y'all going to have some kind of dementia and Alzheimer's, some kind of psychosis. So you guys don't think about that now. That's different from like a root canal, getting some teeth done or whatever. And then you guys are getting them cheaply done. Cheaply done. That's going to fuck up your brain. That's why what some of spiritual constituents was telling me, how going forth in the United States, they're going to be very leery of doing corrective work if you got any works done in Florida and out of country, because plastic surgeons are tired of your black asses coming back with them harder than rock semen ass bodies, and they can't correct that shit and you want them to reverse it. That's why I'm saying some of you black people, you may want to get into the home health care business because some of them people are going to be laid up in your house. Okay? You guys better understand the future. See black women out here tripping, talk about them hospice wives, because hospice wives are the ones that sit up and take care of these men who are dying. I think it's okay to be a hospice wife. You just need to think about how to be a hospice wife. I was looking at something from Shock G, from Digital Underground. I have a question. How come we never wondered who in the fuck was he talking about that he said that they've been trying to kill him and they've been following him for years? Who was Shock G talking about? And what the fuck was going on? The other thing is this. That Black Panther Party, what type of government orchestrated frequency was that shit that a lot of people in the industry were black in the Black Panther Party? I was reading something about Shaka Khan, that she was in the Black Panther Party. What is going on with this Black Panther Party that we're failing to see? And what is it, Fred Hampton? They was talking about how the police go and shoot up his headstone, but they was doing the same thing to Huey Newton, to his headstone, where supposedly I was understood. What was understood was his wife had to move his body. I think what was it at Evergreen cemetery in Oakland, and that whole cemetery is dead, and the energies around it. And did y'all hear about Dr. Hare? You remember Dr. Hare? Remember? Okay. Dr. Hare, I'm going to say he's a revolutionist, right? But remember his wife, Julia Hare? It was something very interesting that I've seen. So anyway, Dr. Hare passed. He passed on June 10th, 2024. Now you guys know that I went to see him, and Sandy is the one who introduced me to Dr. Hare and say, hey, you may want to go see Dr. Hare, because I was traumatized by the city and county of San Francisco. I have post and complex PTSD working for these motherfuckers, period, out in this universal soul, right? So I went to go see Dr. Hare. Now, if it wasn't for Dr. Hare encouraged me to basically, he said, be who you are. Own your business. You are not to keep working for people for this period of time. You are supposed to learn from people and then create your own. So look up Dr. Hare. So Dr. Nathan Hare. So he passed, right? And and I was kind of reading some of his energies. I found something very troubling. Here's what. Now, his wife is Julia Hare, right? So during the time that I was under his care, Julia Hare, she died from Alzheimer's, but when I was there, she was still alive. And I would sit there and look at Julia Hare picture. You guys have seen Julia Hare because she's a revolutionist, and she stands on business, okay? And she stood on business. So I was looking at her picture because it was I remember it was a piano, and her picture was sitting there, and I was picking up her energy, and something in the spirit said she was poisoned. That's why she has Alzheimer's. And I said, damn, because she had a wonderful mind, right? But here's where it's disrespectful. Let me see if I can find it. There's some disrespectful ass shit, right? If I can find this shit. Okay. What I'm finding disrespectful is the following. Um, they had Julia Hare, the wife of Dr. I'm assuming she was a doctor too. Nathan Hare. They had her as spouse, but they had her as Julia Ann Reed. Did they intentionally put Julia Ann Reed instead of Julia Hare so you guys don't look her up? I said, that's odd. I said, it's like they said they wasn't married, but it says spouse, but they were married, right? And then they don't have him as a psychologist first. They have him as a sociologist first. He was a psychologist first who wrote books. And I can't believe that I bought one of his books, didn't even know. And we were talking about his library. And of course, he knows my uncle, the psychologist. So he held me in high regards, because he had to clown me about some stuff. He was like, "I'll hold you in high regards," because my uncle's a psychologist, and in the Black community of psychology, they all know each other like that. So Dr. Hare was telling me the different history where he traveled. We understand the San Francisco state, that frequency, and so on. But then I didn't know he was connected to Howard. Then I started thinking about Frances Cress Welsing, how they took her out, and she had a lot to say about Howard and his energies, right? So I said, dang, because of course, Frances Cress, well, I call her a spiritual psychologist. So of course they all know each other, right? But I found it disrespectful how Wikipedia had him, how they had him noted, in addition to how they had Julia Hare. And you guys look them up, and it's the last name is Hare, and look up Julia Hare and look up Nathan Hare. Okay, so you guys can get some frequency and understand. And so I learned a lot from him, and I'm going to ride for my mean ass Aries. And I said he's a high Aries. And then when I was looking at the number system, I said, oh yeah, that's ritual. Because in the San Francisco news, they was like, oh yes, and he passed. Wow, and Juneteenth. Nah, that number system is very interesting. Even the day he was born is an interesting number system. But he's a high Aries, so that's a very interesting frequency. So he's under a certain type. I'm be a little layman under a certain type of frequency. But just kind of look him up and how they're disrespecting him in his death. So you niggas out here gonna get drafted, huh? You see how they're targeting Black people. Let me tell you something. They didn't sat up and told your Black asses not to go to school, not to be productive. You niggas moved your asses down to Atlanta and you wasn't productive. Our ancestors never moved into a location in the United States or world and was never productive. You motherfuckers will sit up and clown on your ancestors and say what you gonna do that's better. You ain't did shit better. How can you even stand the rain when your own ancestors went through hella fucking shit to be? Okay, and made they fucking money, and wherever they were at, they were fucking established. So how in the fuck do you go to Atlanta and you're not fucking established, and then have the audacity to move from Atlanta into Texas and you're not fucking established? So they just said, we're just gonna draft you niggas. And you Gen Zs who think you fighting the power, fight that shit. I already knew they were looking. I already knew they were going to do a draft. How I know? Because I was getting letters. Not only that, I was peeping how they were looking for strong men. My son at his school, they went to I think it was a fleet week. And he was saying how of course the military was there, and he said they had something going on where they was lifting like weights, and so he lifted a weight, and they were like, wow, military, army. He said they followed him around and asking him to enlist. So I already knew the what's up. I already knew what the fuck was coming. So I said, dang, it took them long enough, and now you got men out here talking about my daughters. No. See, here's what's happening. See, America then sold America, and now third world energies are coming in. So you have Korea and Asia, Russia, and all of that automatically recruit and draft their people into the military. I have a Korean friend, and he talked about that. And you looking at him, you would never thought that he had to forcibly be part of the military in Korea. So he was saying, for what I get out of it, is that he doesn't want Trump to be elected because that connects back to Korea and them basically wanting the military to I guess what, not recruit but draft them, whatever they call that, call them back into action. And I said, whoa. Okay, so there's some frequency going on. When I've been looking, listening in the sky, there's been helicopters flying and military, constantly military helicopters. And I said, something is going on. Something is going on. But here's the kicker of it all. Not only you niggas fucked up, not only the Gen Zs talk too fucking much, but they purposely let immigrants out. I mean, let not out, but into America, right? And some of you guys were stating the Middle Easterns and especially the Chinese look like military type of frequencies, right? How you know it's not going to be a situation that they are in the military and for them to whatever get their US cards or whatever they need to get, that's part of the deal. Because in the military is their, as my Aunt Julia would say, the military is your mother, is your father. Because like my Aunt Julia would say, if you don't know anything else, enlist in the military because it will take care of you. It'll give you a roof over your head. It'll give you food. That's the mentality, right? So if you have homeless men, remember homeless men, and they need people, it will be them. It's a cold game. It's a cold spell. Okay? It's a cold game. It's a cold spell. Something to look at. Did y'all see that fucking Tony Awards? How awful and ghetto it was? Did you see Alicia Keys and that fucking Jay-Z fuck up the Tony Awards? See, I didn't know what the fuck was going on when I heard Cyndi Lauper give Alicia Keys a shout out for being nominated hella times for a Tony. And I said, what the fuck did non-singing Alicia Keys do? We haven't seen her for a minute. Swiss Beats let her ass out. So when I seen that whole Tony performance, I was motherfucking confused. I said, this is really going downhill. And they really giving these desperate ass niggas shine to be on these type of orchestrated shows. And I have respect for the Tonys and the Broadway frequency because that's fucking work. But then you go and orchestrate this goddamn shit and this shenanigans. I said, the world is a ghetto. However, I was talking to some spiritual constituents because they was talking about prison, right? And they was talking about how in prison that's like the real world. And I had to tell them, I said, they're right. It is the real world. It's very, the prison is the real world, especially, the things you learn in there and the frequencies and understanding. I said, was also the real world is also those asylums. I was looking at Kiki Wyatt and some of her craziness. I said, I wonder, did they pull her from the asylum? Because she acts like the people in asylum. Don't get it fucked up. The people in asylum be talented as fuck. They be singing, rapping, and they be acting, doing all type of shit. For real. How you know Britney Spears is really not from the asylum? I'm just saying. Because Kiki Wyatt, when she was presenting her son, like her, and I was like, what's up with her? Like, and what's up with all of these disabled children? You seen the shit with Krishan. I said they probably put her in jail so they could take so they could take custody of that kid, because that friend can't handle it because apparently the friend living in a hotel. I said they're going to end up most likely giving a child to Blueface mother. She's more stable. I hope they don't give him to um that other family, her family. I said, that's very weird. I said, why is she in jail in the first place? But the scary thing is, and you guys were tripping with me, did you see how her baby was hopping like a frog? But I'm crazy. Okay. But her child hopping like a frog. But anyway, so we was talking about the prison system, and in addition to us, I was talking about the asylums. I said, all of that is the real world. Those are the people. Okay? That's why women, you got to be careful messing with prison niggas, because they will put you under that spell work. So let me give you some spell work, that incubus work. Let's go back to the conscious community. The conscious community fucked up the black community and it fucked up women. Okay? I have a person and she's going to be coming out with a book. and a little bit of a documentary. She's getting it together. And she got almost caught up and trafficked in the conscious community. She was talking about that whole veganism shit. She was talking about this chick named Finney, who worked with celebrities with that veganism shit. She was talking about how she was messing around with this person. That was almost about to, keep connecting her with shit, giving this energy that all we have to do are birth charts and this now we're gonna blow up. However, what they're not telling you that they out here prostituting you. They want to make sure your credit right, everything is right. If you have a certain type of mind, they want to suck your soul and incubus you to death. So those are some frequencies. I was telling somebody, I said, damn, I was on looking on Tubi. I seen two people that hit me up some years back trying to get the fuck away from the ranch. They on Tubi movies. I said, oh shit, right? But yeah, I have a person, she gonna come out and she has so much information in reference to how the conscious community purposely and integrity and with integrity uh 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 basically, how can I say, suck the life out of black women, targeted the black woman through religion, that fake ass yoga, that fake ass Hinduism shit, that fake ass Orisha shit. They teach them all that zodiac metaphysics bullshit to get them on that vegan. Now all of a sudden people like Chloe Bailey and the rest of them now, we don't want to be vegans anymore. Did y'all see Jill Scott being a fake ass Oshun? I said, that girl, what the fuck? What? I call it the mammy outfits. I said, what the fuck she doing in this yellow mammy outfit? Looking like a fucking Cuban doll with all of that shit on. What the fuck? That orchestrated shit. Well, anyway, the prison system is connected to the conscious community. When you hear the conscious community, you're hearing the prison system. So we need to stop fucking around playing with these people, right? And they and with the black woman, they what's it called, incubus us. They steal your credit, they steal your money, they steal your wealth, they steal your well-being. You just looking at this man, some of them look good. You be like, they beautiful, I just want a piece of a man. Then y'all niggas get your black asses caught the fuck up. Then they clear out your body, they make you a fucking host. The fuck? And then put you under all this bullshit. And they purposely and intentionally target you. They target what you have. That's no different than no good niggas living on you. And then attaching themselves to you. Do you know there's niggas out here that were, I'm doing a video. Purposely targets women to have babies by them so they can keep them. Right? We better understand what the fuck is going on out here. Oh, let me go back. Shout out to Pride. Check out this artist called Nancy Grossman. This is for the leatherback motherfuckers. She does leatherback masks. Nancy Grossman. What the fuck is going on with Al Reynolds? Al Reynolds should fucking know better. So he didn't got into it with this person named Armand. He was, look, Claudia Jordan is a fucking witch. And I don't know, I don't believe this is a PR, but I know for a fact in the DMs, he's been contacted. He better just go on and hook up with Funky Deneva and they do something together. Because that Armand is a different type of gay boy. Al Reynolds has a sophistication. And the bottom line is they're trying to push him off. And these new type of gay boys are very feminine. Let me tell you something. There's so much shit going on. I call my gay constituents that's always sending me stuff, that's always talking to me, telling me the what's up. Do you know how much shit I have some spiritual, gay, I'm going to call them gay constituents so you can understand, that say they don't understand why there's so many feminine gay boys. Then I have another gay constituents that show me pictures and you be surprised of the men. There's a lot of black men, but there's a lot of Middle Eastern men. There's a lot of Asian men, and we already know there's a whole bunch of white men. Okay? The other energies that they're not talking about is the Latin community, the Latin men community, of how a lot of them have HIV. And they're not talking about it because they saying that it is, especially, they said, and from what I was told, especially in New York, it is well known that they get down with the get down, but a lot of them have HIV. See, they're not talking about these type of frequencies. I didn't went into a whole to the left, but let's just talk about it. It's Pride Month, right? They're not talking about all these frequencies, but they're not talking about within the culture, there is a problematic frequency with these new type of Armands. Is that his name, Armand, the new person that's on Fox Soul? There's a lot of them. And they're saying that, and I'm hearing this across the board, that they causing a lot of ruckus and disrespect within the community. Our Reynolds is more considered old school, and from what I understood, that his wife at the time, Star Jones, she knew that he was who he is, right? But I don't understand what it is with him. Is he having a Gemini moment? He was told, he was warned. He knows that they want him off that shit. They know that they got that other guy on there to clown him. Come on. It's straight frequencies going on. And the new generation, like the Armands, they don't fuck around with the Al Reynolds types. They don't even want a gay boy to have some masculinity. They don't want you to have respect. So you're going to keep that up. Haley Berry explains why she would never adopt a black African child. Wow, that's messed up. Why would she adopt a black African child? Be carried. She don't even have her fucking kids. She can't. She's a Looney Tune. I think they didn't got her from the asylum allegedly. She can't even take care of her own kid. What the fuck, y'all? Why do they write this? So I was looking at this white girl, and she had tattooed on her the kind of Haitian symbols, and I found it interesting. I said, oh, she have on some Haitian symbols and so on, right? So people asked her about her tattoos, and she said, oh no, this is Eastern Europe. I said, why would a Haitian symbol be from Eastern Europe? What the fuck are these symbols that these Babalos and Poleros using? And where in the fuck did they come from? Then I started thinking as I did my research, when we look at some of these drawings and Egyptian writings and drawings, how do we know that's real? Should we believe in anything that's after Christ? Very interesting. Did y'all put it together about Moses that he was a warlock wizard, that he wasn't powerful, that his sister Miriam was the real motherfucker because she was the prophet? Did y'all connect that? They were talking about wands and what wands are, right? Let me see here. And I was like, whoa, what? Did y'all see that shit, that hearing, as I'm looking with Fachi or Fassi or Falsey? And that whole energy, and so now they're using him as a scapegoat. But my question is, who is that Marjorie Taylor Greene lady that questioned him down? Did you guys know she's an actress? She was trying to be on that show, that's not think what is it, that show that you can sing or whatever. And did y'all look at her teeth? What the fuck is that woman? That's that woman that got into it at that other hearing with the black girl who clowned her. But she was questioning Fauci. Was it Fauci? With his false ass. He's just a scapegoat. But look at that Marjorie chick. She's an alien. There's something up with her. It's not right. I have a question as I'm looking. What the fuck was that shit with George Floyd? How come we never went to investigate it? How come we haven't investigated that murder and suicide of Khalif Browder? Why did they have him in jail and forget about him at Rikers? Did we ever go back and understand that story with the producer or director of the Fugees and his daughter? Is it Aziza Kibi? And she having all them kids in that cult? Damn, I can't find it. I was listening to something and they were talking about wands. And they were talking about the Druids introduced a wood in which was called Hollywood. From the holly or from the holly, I'm sorry, no. The Druids introduced a wood from the holly tree. And they're saying that's how Hollywood was created, right? And I said, damn. So that sign is writing, which is witchcraft. Then they was talking about wands and warlocks, right? And I said, so is that why Exodus is so important? Because that person gave Moses a rod, which was a warlock type of energy, which within the wand, it has spiritual powers, which taps back into Babalaos and Poleros having little wands and rods and shit like that, right? Then they got to talking about the record player, that's a wand. And I said, and it creates magic. But then wouldn't that tap back into a male's penis? Because isn't a rod and a stick represents a man's penis and what it does? So it still goes back to masculine energy? It's very interesting shit out here, right? Things that uproots itself. We're just talking about spell work. Why are they talking about how Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, his wife slept with Weinstein. How come they're not talking about how they're burning all of the beehives to create a famine? How come they're not talking about that in Korea you're too fucking fat and there are different levels of fat? You have them lying, talking about that fat people are dying due to level 3 obesity. Being a level 3. What the fuck is a level 3 obesity? No, what did they die from? Former NBA player Delonte West arrested again in Virginia. Why are they saying this when another report says he's dead, allegedly? Angela Bofield died. You know that they poisoned her and caused her to have an aneurysm so she couldn't sing anymore, right? Allegedly. Allegedly, Beyonce is blocked from Instagram over her dress attire. Bullshit. It's coming out this soft cook called Nora Smith stole her whole idea from a South African woman. Allegedly. Richard Nixon, known for the Watergate scandal, also secretly expanded the Vietnam War into Cambodia and Laos without the knowledge or approval of Congress, leading to widespread devastation and loss of life. So that makes sense why we have a lot of Vietnamese here in America, and especially in Southern California, there's a lot of Cambodians. Lyndon B. Johnson, the 36th president, was known for his aggressive and sometimes abusive behavior. He would often conduct meetings while using the bathroom to intimidate and to assert dominance over his staff and colleagues. Oprah allegedly took sick due to Ozempic. Yeah, all right. We're gonna keep up with that bullshit. Oh, here it is. Sean Diddy Combs says lawsuit that spirits giant. Oh, okay, here we go. Diego neglected his vodka and tequila brand. It's not Crocs, excuse me. It's Diego, Diageo. So now he's suing him. Oh, it is Ciroc. So it is a Ciroc lawsuit. I said Crocs, bitch. Oh, here it is. World's first tooth regrowing drug will be given to humans in September. Ashante's sister not fucking with her. You know they fired Kenya Moore from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. That's interesting, if that's her. The game that got his ass caught up with Evelyn Lozada's daughter and got her pregnant. She taught her daughter well, did she? Well, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but all right. Oh, here it is. Nothing exists showing Hitler ordered extermination of Jews. Now the report. Have y'all been seeing the new energies of Mars and the new civilization? Not new, but the old civilization that was there. And they're talking about the planets that we see above. There was civilization there at one time. And then somehow the civilization died off. And then it leaves its remnants on the planets. So is that what's going to happen with this planet? Have y'all been looking at the Young Thug case? This YSL RICO trial. Have y'all seen YSL? I guess it's Woody. who's this dude? What's going on with that case? It's like a whole ruckus. The attorney. I said in a minute they're gonna have to throw this case out because allegedly the judge was meeting in his chambers with people. What the fuck? What the hell is going on with this Caitlin Clark shit? Why is this a race war between white women and black women? That's a little suspicious. I don't get that. Doesn't make sense. Did y'all see that witch Nicole Brown Simpson's sister? That's a cold looking witch. Nicole Brown's sister. Look that woman up. Anyway, this is Weird Renegade Witches blog. It is up when you want some real motherfucking work done.